Hello, and welcome to the Los Angeles Greek Film Festival event series. I am Araceli Lemos, a member of the team who is organizing these online live events. It's our first for our festival and has been going very well so far. Thank you for joining us. I'm excited to be introducing today's event, our Q&A with Syllas Tzoumerkas. Before I turn it over to our guests, I would like to let you know that the webinar is being recorded. The audience is not visible or audible, only our guests. And then we will post it in later time on our social media and on our website. Some people have already pre-submitted their questions, but if you would like to participate, we would really encourage you to submit questions for our filmmakers using the Q&A buttons in the lower part of your screen. And include your name, your location, a little bit about yourself if you're like a filmmaker or an audience member, and we would love to answer your questions. And now I will introduce our two guests, Syllas Tzoumerkas, who is, hi Syllas, the director of the Miracle of the Sargasso Sea, and Argyris Papadimitriopoulos, who's gonna be the moderator of the conversation.
Hello.
Hi, Giri, and thank you so much for being here. Syllas' film is on the platform until the 15th, and it's his third feature. It premiered at the Berlin Film Festival. His previous ones also had great international success, Homeland, A Blast, and we invited Argyris to be the person asking the questions because the two of them have been friends and collaborators for many years. They co-wrote Santan together in 2016. And let me say also, let's introduce Argyris if anyone doesn't know him. Argyris has been many times at our festival with his previous films, Santan and Wasted Youth, but also with films he produced, like At Home. And Argyris just completed Monday, the first film that was very affected by COVID because it was scheduled to premiere at Tribeca, but it had a very beautiful premiere in Toronto, but Argyris just told us that he hasn't been in a movie theater to see it himself. So I'll pass it on to you too, and thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you, Araceli. So yeah, thank you very much for having us here. It's nice that we can do that, but it's quite sad that you didn't get to watch this very specific film in the film theater. It looks amazing on your laptop or TV too, but it's great work done in both the picture and the sound, and it's a joy to watch such a film in a theater. Maybe so you can.
Very big one. In Berlin, you saw it in a very big one at Sopalast. The one very
and I was, blown away. Me and Syllas have been friends since forever. We met in film school. So if there are any students in the audience today, that's what I keep in mind, and that's what I keep from my film school years. The best thing a film school can do is, to make cool, creative friends and work together in the future in different projects. With Syllas, we work in different capacities. He's also an amazing actor, so he played in 3 of my films. And we wrote Santan, my previous film, together. And it was a great joy working with him. And yeah, so I'll start with a few questions that I prepared to keep the ball rolling and see, and wait for your questions. So yeah. So, Syllas, you mix stories, you mix genres, you mix different kinds of music. It feels like you love mixing everything and making your very special cocktail, which creates something super unique. How would you describe your style, and which are your main influences?
Well, first of all, hello. I'm really happy to do this virtually, but even if it's virtual, it would be much better if we were all there together, right, Argiri, in Los Angeles, I think. But now we do this. However, to answer a bit to start with your question a bit, for me, this film, what is mainly a very very specific in this film is that it's a very idiosyncratic thriller in a way. It has a very clear, let's say, genre spine of a pretty much a thriller with a bit of surreal and horror undertones, but at the same time, I think that its main how to say characteristic is that it's very idiosyncratic in a way. It has dreams inside. It has different comedic outbursts. It has moments of religious, let's say, magic, and many different stuff together that I think combine, let's say, and at the end, how do you say, depict a bit a person in its whole. For me, that is the main thing, what I like doing pretty much in cinema, even if I use a genre spine or not, is to kind of see the person's characters through very different kind of, say, let's say, aspects of their daily life and of the events of their life, and that kind of create a sort of a whole at the end of how a person can walk in the street and what he or she has in his or her mind. It's a very subjective kind of filming.
Nice, thank you. It's interesting. You were talking about all this mix in your film, and then I was like, it has this, it has that, it has eels.
It has many eels, yes.
Yeah. So I remember you telling me that the whole idea of the script started from the eels, which is a super weird creature. And you were telling me about all these details that I didn't know anything about, and I was like, wow, that's weird, that's fascinating, that's exciting, so tell us about that.
Well, the eels are these very strange creatures. They're very ugly. They're a bit how to say, they are kind of disgusting in a way. They're creatures of the swamp. But at a certain moment in their, let's say, in the course of their life, when they reach their sexual maturity, they have a certain, how to say, call that nobody can explain, an instinct call. That comes together with sexual maturity, and then they start, how to say, they start walking from the lakes and the swamps, and they go through rivers and mud, and they begin a very crazy journey that ends up that at the end, when they finish with the swamp and the river, they reach the sea. That's when they fall into the sea, and then they start transforming also their whole guts, the whole body changes, and the skin drops, new skin comes in, lungs open. It's a very crazy, how to say, transformation. And then in circles, in a way, in spheres, actually, they form spheres, and they travel from Greece or anywhere else, and they go up all the way across the Mediterranean, through the Atlantic, all the way up to the Sargasso Sea, where it's the only place they can reproduce, and they die. And then they're let's say, the small ones, they return. They do the same trip. That for me was a fascinating, let's say, a fascinating story of transformation, and in order to find a place, a paradise for yourself, a place to live, a place where life can continue, when you can actually come out of a certain swamp, and through this painful process you can, let's say, claim life and new life. So for me, that was, for us, when we were writing the script with Yula Budeli, that was the core of the story. We had these two women, Elizabeth, who is a policewoman, and Rita, who is a hatchery worker, living in this swamp town of Mesolongi, they have a terrible everyday life there. And then they embark in a very perilous, violent journey that brings them together in order to change the circumstances of their life. So the story of this transformation and the struggle, actually it's mainly the story of the struggle that you need to achieve something like that. So that's what was pretty much the core of the film, in a way.
Thank you. So there's a fascination about the family and the Greek countryside we see in your films, and especially this one. Mm-hmm. It feels like something you know very well. And to be totally honest, I haven't seen films about small towns in Greece that feel so real.
Mhm.
Would you like to tell us a
Well,
little bit about that?
it's a little community story, which is a bit, it comes from, for me, it comes a lot through literature, this kind of little community dramas where everything goes to hell in a way, and people are very strange to each other. And this has also
You
then
love it
went to,
when things go to hell, right?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
why we make
Okay.
movies. That's why
Yeah.
it's fun. I think you love it too. And
A little bit.
anyway, that's the idea is that to actually the community, this kind of the small community towns, it's a very small world where actually you can see the border all around it. So you can the community, you can actually watch it very clearly, the ethos of people in a way, and their let's say the psychology and the way they act in their relationships and the way of being. Now this is, and then small communities also have very specific characteristics. Like for example, Messaloniki has this kind of heroic past that has created a sort of, how do you say, lost grandeur
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah. It's
Pretty much
legendary.
right now it's a white trash place. Okay, Messaloniki. It's a very very poor, very, how to say,
Yeah.
very poor area. So with this kind of create a fascinating milieu where these two women could, how to say, we could see them in this kind of, how to say, broken potential reality that is actually a swamp for here, for both of them, and then kind of engage in their struggle to come out of it. That becomes pretty violent.
Okay. Great. So there's a very distinct feministic view. Both your heroes have suffered from the male-dominated environment,
Mm-hmm.
and in some way, although it's dark, you give a ray of light to both of them.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, and especially for the people that watch the film, because I don't want to do any spoilers. You know, there's this very significant scene where the two of them, you know, at the end, and you see that somehow they help each other, and
Yeah.
and I would like to talk a little bit about that.
Well, for me, I don't know. When we write with Yula and when I direct, I try to see characters. How to say, the lead characters, and in this particular case, these two women, we try to see them. How to say, a bit free of gender preconceptions. So that's what we try to do. We don't write two female parts. We write two people that, and then their surrounding brings inside all the patriarchy in a way that then it becomes a bit gender specific because they have to struggle against that, and they have to fight all these preconceptions that arrive through the families, through the milieu of the local authority, the police department of Athens for Elizabeth, the brother for Rita who is in a nightclub. All these characters sort of try to, they're pretty much, how to say, a patriarchal nightmare. So these two women, they have to fight. They have to fight against this mentality. But for me, what I like very much, apart most of that, is that throughout the film you see these two women, Rita and Elizabeth. These are two women who are very much in control of their sexuality. They are very independent. One of them is a single mom, policewoman, living alone in that dump. She's an alcoholic. She has, they are very much in, how to say, they are very much, very unapologetic for who they are in this society that kind of tries to bring them down. That's why they are so scandalous, especially Elizabeth, the policewoman, but also Rita in her own way. So this I find very fun stuff, and very fun stuff to work with, especially with these two amazing actresses, Angeliki Papoulia and Yula Buideli, because they're fantastic.
Yeah,
Scenes
yeah,
when
they're
they
amazing.
cut balls around.
Yeah, but talking about female heroes, there's this person behind all your films, the producer of all your projects,
Mm-hmm.
and she's next to you from day one when you started making features, and
Mm-hmm.
she manages to pull very difficult productions with many different countries involved, tons of cast, weird locations, weird ideas, difficult scripts, to go out to the market and pitch them,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel she's doing a great job. I mean, you always manage to make your films the way you want them, and it always feels like really celebratory, the whole thing between you. I mean, I see you guys working together and you go like, wow, these guys are having a good time.
Yeah, we do have a good time. Actually, with Maria Drandaki, who is the producer of Homemade Films, and she has been producing my films since my first feature, Homeland. Then we did together a blast, and now the Sargasso, and now we're going to do the new ones as well together. This was a very creative, how to say, relationship from the very start, and we developed also together, which is, Homeland was also the first film of Maria as independent producer, my first feature. So this kind of, you remember that era in Greek cinema. It was also an era that demanded a lot of commitment and solidarity from everyone.
Yeah.
Together also we had experiences like that we had to come together in order to be able to make our movies. And I think that we developed with Maria together, and we share a vision in a way about these films, about their, how to say, about them being controversial, about them being defiant, artistically challenging, and fun, and crazy. And I think this is something that we both take pleasure out of making them. So that makes, I think, a good collaboration always. If there's no pleasure in the collaboration, why the fuck do it? You know what I mean? It's
Absolutely. I totally agree. So there are some questions from the audience.
Yeah.
And Hara Burgani from Athens says, how did you choose the region of Mesologi for this story, and how long did it take the production
to be made? Well, this was a project that needed. I'll start from the second one. This was a project that needed a lot of development because it's a co-production between 4 countries. It's a Greek, German, Dutch, and Swedish co-production, and involves a lot of crew and artistic collaborators from many countries. So that took a while to build up, and also the script was in a long development process. So that took, I think, the actual shooting was actually something like 40 days, if I remember correctly now. Something like 40 days, and but the whole film took much longer, of course, before and after. Then when it comes to Mesologi, I think Mesologi was there from the start because Mesologi is the place where eels actually exist in Greece. So it was from the start. Mesologi was there. Through the eels, and also through this kind of tale of the romantic tale of liberty that kind of comes together with Mesologi, the historic part and its importance for the romantics, and for this kind of how to say, the notion of a very violent exodus and very self-destructive exodus towards So that was in, and it's playing in the film with various ways. Sometimes the film is very, sometimes the film follows the parable of the town. Other times the film is very aggressive to its modern state. So it has, let's say, a lot of gray areas there, which is actually reality. Is like that. That's why we follow it. And I think that especially one character, the singer, has a lot of problems with that place.
I don't think he likes this place very much.
In a very particular scene, I think that was a bit scandal. Then
it's an amazing scene, by the way. I mean, I love him, and he gives an amazing performance.
Who plays the how to say, a failed loser singer, the brother of Rita, is giving a serious film.
It's a legendary scene. I mean,
it's a fun.
Nice. So Einstein from Miami asks, what films did you watch and feel inspired by for The Miracle of the Sargasso Sea?
For the miracle of the Sargasso Sea, well, I think that first of all, there is a very straight reference to in the biblical sense to Pasolini, which is kind of there very consciously and very nicely. I think very richly used. It was very rich for me. That's what I mean, to use this kind of reference. It's something I always want to do, and they are pretty much my favorite scenes of the film. The scenes with Christ. And then I think other films there are a lot of references that kind of there is. I think that Herzog is inside in a way. Friedkin, Bigelow, Lynch. These are directors that I love and I know that they are in my DNA. So they kind of pop up inside me. So pretty much these I would say are the references, but it's not like it's more in a subconscious way, in a way that it's under your skin. It's your let's say your alphabet in a way, film alphabet mainly. And it's a film that works with dream space pretty much. This is the film constructs a shared dream space between the two lead characters and me as a narrator in a way of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the three of us, Angeliki Papoulia, Yula Budali, and me, we kind of created a dream space there. And the directors that I mentioned, together with Nicolas Reg, maybe, are the masters of dream space, pretty much. Some of them.
Right. So Yorgos Papaioannou from Thessaloniki. How did you achieve the frantic energy and passion in your films, both through performances and cinematography?
I think it has to do, Argyris knows me a bit, I think it mainly has to do with my own, one thing is my own energy, which is in a certain way, you know what I mean? Like I mean, a director, directors in films kind of, their energy is pretty important in these things, especially when you go and try to do more crazy stuff in certain areas. Then it's the talent of the specific actors and the material. The most important of all, the material, is that it's a meeting between me, the actors, and the photographer, the cinematographer. In this case, Sargasso is Petrusjovic, an amazing cinematographer from Sweden. And a certain passion of the actors. There are, I think that we establish together a certain commitment and a certain boldness and a certain freedom. That is at least my goal entering a film, to make it, to kind of push it to a certain limit. And I think that is what makes it enjoyable to make these films. It's because they are they're pretty risky in certain areas. I mean, if you see the film, you will know what I mean, and I think you will understand also the question of what was the name?
Because next question is close to this too, because David Moore from New York asks, how have you evolved as a filmmaker? How have you developed your cinematic language through your films in developing your signature voice?
Yeah,
I love this signature voice part.
Yeah, well, my first film was a very punk movie. It was a very small budget film, very crazy, very passionate, very political, and very, how to say, it's a rocking bit film. And then I think that gradually I'm becoming a bit more introvert as I grow in the films. In a way, yes, because if you see Homeland, it's very
interesting. I wasn't expecting to hear that.
Yeah, it's my version of introvert, actually.
Okay.
I cannot get very introvert. But up, I get more introvert. And I think that another thing is that I'm getting to. I think that growing up in the third film and hopefully in the next one even more, I'm getting in a way freer, more free when I work. I feel less limitations because I think you understand that you're also going
Yeah.
from film to film. There are certain limitations that you kind of lose, and this is very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And mainly, I think that that certain areas of of theme, like nature, for example, or stuff like that, that are pretty prominent in Sargasso, they kind of take more space inside me as I grow up.
Mm-hmm.
As growing up, I'm meaning going from film to film. Also, going from film to film, it's as in my case at least, going from Homeland to Ablast and Ablast to Sargasso, I also had bigger budgets from film to the next film, and this always also creates, how to say, helps you develop the language as well. Like, not to tell the truth here.
Nice. Niki Labropoulos, a screenwriter from Patras, Greece, has an interesting question. Do you work with a complete script, or it develops during the shooting in cooperation with your team?
Yeah, I mainly work with a complete script up to a point. I don't use so much improvisation, but there are certain things that I improvise a lot. So with Yula, usually Yula Budel is the co-writer that we did together the three films. We know that there are certain things, usually very big ensemble sequences, that are going to develop a lot through like in Sargasso, for example, the dinner sequence. This has some improvisations inside, but pretty much the biggest part is scripted. For the biggest, I would say like an 80% of the films is scripted. Then, of course, in the editing, because when you deal with a more subjective and dreamy film language, there are moments that you can play in unexpected ways. And here it was also Andreas Vodrashke, the Sargasso editor's work. It was amazing, I think, for me, collaborating with him in that, on how to keep the community drama going, the thriller going, and at the same time take liberty in this kind of dream moments of the film, and how they could create connections here and there. It's a very fun process, I think. So I think there is some improvisation in the editing, and a certain level of improvisation in certain sequences when it comes with actors.
Nice. So there's this final question. It's for both of us.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's go.
From Dimitra Papadopoulou, Los Angeles.
Yes.
Argyris and Syllas, what are your next film projects?
I don't know. You start.
That's a classic.
I answer all this time. Come on. Go.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello, Dimitra. I just finished the film, and as Araceli mentioned in the introduction, it didn't have a physical premiere yet. It was supposed to premiere in Tribeca. Then, as you know, Corona happened, and then we had the digital premiere in Toronto, but only for industry and press, and that went really well. And now we're trying to find the right window to distribute the film and to show the film to the people in any possible way these days. And at the same time, I'm writing another feature, which is, could say some, it's a buddy movie, but then again, it's not. It's a funny film, but maybe not very funny. Again, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm actually working on a project right now, filming with Christos Pasalis, who is the actor who plays in Sargasso the singer, and who is a fantastic theater director and film director. And we're doing a project together right now that is currently shooting. But the main thing that what I developed is my new film that I developed with the Onassis Foundation, and it's gonna be a feature about let's say islands, and I will stay there. So
Perfect.
Thank you so much. So that was the final question, right, Argyris?
Yeah.
thank you.
I don't see any other in the chat thing. Yeah, I think that was the final one.
Oh, great. It was lovely. You're also both of you very lovely, lively,
And lovely.
and lively conversationalists. So you packed so many interesting information in so dense conversation. But I just wanted to mention that I was sad that we didn't get to have you at the festival, because Argyris knows that every time we have a very good time.
Yeah.
Okay, don't worry, next time.
And
It's
I
gonna
miss
end
LA quite a lot.
anytime. Come on, it's gonna end this fucking thing.
And maybe in June, let's see if all goes well.
Yeah, let's do that.
So bye to you, and I want to say thank you to the audience that they have come every year. Oh, we got like a final little question. Do you ever shoot in the US? You haven't shot in the US, I know. I can answer.
No.
Not yet. Are you planning to make a film in the US?
Question.
Well, maybe Argyris, are you working on making a film here, maybe?
I have a few thoughts and a few ideas, and I would love to actually, because I love California. I mean, I love the States. I find it very fascinating, and there's so many things you can do there, and amazing locations, and a pool of great artists and actors and everything. But yeah, I mean, I would shoot anywhere. I mean, wherever the story takes me.
Actually, this is the thing. This is the answer.
Yeah.
And so thank you. I wish we had more time. I know that for you it's Sunday night and that you're both exhausted. And I want to invite the audience to join us in the following days. We have our 3 master classes coming up on Tuesday with Greg Utanis, Wednesday with Jim Giannopoulos, and Thursday with Nia Vardalos. And thank you so much, and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.